20 members, so
I don't know.
in one case it would be 36, in another case,
Well, we got people online too.
it would be 12 or 13. So,
What do you mean? Oh, well, what do we have? We had 20%?
no, and the new one is
20.
is it
Oh, 20 or 25.
15?
No, it's 20 or 25. I don't know. I have it in the other room. I thought we did 20.
Okay, 20 would be about
24.
24 people.
I will go. Yeah, see, so I guess it's not on yet. Bill Roberts is online. Just your Oh, here we go. Woohoo! It's a bit of a delay because they got to pick. We've got to. All right. Barbara Parenti is on. Right there's one. Boy, this is really delayed. So, wow, this is delayed. morning, everyone. It is now 11:22. People online, I think, have a delay, but I'm sure they'll still get everything. It is, so 11:22, we're going to call the meeting to order. And welcome. Pastor, would you do the invitation?
We gather today in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, to hear where God is calling us, to walk with Jesus as an organization, and to go out into the world led by the Spirit. May we pray at this point and ask God's blessing on this time. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks that your Spirit fills our hearts and fills this space. Lord, be with us this afternoon as we make decisions and pass the not really exciting stuff about budgets, but all with a mind and a heart to follow where you lead us, so that we would do your work with our hands. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, so since it's snowing, we're going to do business and forego many of the reports. Pastor, unless you wanted to say something quick.
I do just want to say, so all of my monthly reports are in the meeting minutes, and we've done some amazing things together this year. I just want to say thank you. As we're coming into the 1 year from the call, it was right about this time last year that we said yes to each other, and just over about a month away, we will have moved here, and it'll be our 1 year anniversary. And this has been one of the best risks we have ever taken in our lives. And I just can't say thank you enough for the way that you have welcomed our family into this community over the last year. Thank you all for the generous and heartfelt Christmas gift this past Christmas. I can't wait for this next year. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. I'm not going to read my report either, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Harold for all the work he does streaming our services, and there's a lot of it that goes in behind the scenes. And thank you to his team, and Mara, thank you for stepping in today. And I also wanted to thank Ken LaPlante for doing our newsletter.
Yes.
Pretty amazing stuff. Okay, on to business. Oh, we have to, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the 2022 annual meeting that was held on January 29th, 2023? Do I have a second? Anybody opposed? Anybody online opposed? Because that's going to take a little while. I think we're behind. I'm not seeing anything. So, okay, moved. The next thing we have to just take care of is, last year we updated the Constitution, we voted on it, then we made a couple of changes to it, which we also voted on, sent it to Synod. Synod approved it, and now it's time for us to adopt the updated Constitution. Do I have a motion to adopt, do I have a motion to adopt the Constitution as published on our website? Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? Okay, is there anyone does anyone oppose? Sorry. Okay, that one's moved too.
Thank Jan for all the work.
Oh yeah, thank you, Janice, if you're online, and your daughter for digitizing and all the work you did on the Constitution. So we now have a Constitution that we will be following. If anyone needs copies, there was a link in the newsletter, and just see me if you need anything. Okay. What did I do? Nominate. Oh, okay. The nominating team. So the nominating team this year was Donna Lambert, sorry. I'm trying to buzz through this. Okay. The nominating team this year was Donna Lambert was the chair, Pam Narahara, Maureen Fowler, Ken LaPlante, Deb Roberts, and Doug Spiller. Thank you for your hard work. We had 4 slots to fill. Stephanie and Martha are eligible for their second third-year term. They've agreed to be on the ballot. Maureen Fowler has agreed to be on, to take the 3-year term. Scott, due to other commitments, has stepped down, and Donna has, it's kind of like Congress, isn't it? And Donna has agreed to fill in his 1-year term. So those are the nominees. Are there any other nominees from the floor to be on, or on line if you're hearing me live, for nominations to be on next year's council? Okay, hearing none, I would ask, do we have a motion to accept the 4 named people to sit on next year's council?
So,
Do we have a second? Second. Any objections? Welcome aboard. Okay, Synod Assembly. This is kind of an important thing this year. We are, the Synod Assembly will be held in Worcester on June 6th through the 8th. It's 3 days. It's going to be at the DC Center in Worcester. The church will cover your hotel. We think people should stay because of the work that's going on. There's going to be late nights. We will be, in addition to the regular business, a new bishop is going to be elected. So if you are our nominees, you're going to have to do some homework before the Synod Assembly. We also this year can send a 3rd person, and it's a voting member.
Lay voting member.
Okay, so a lay voting member, 3rd person is a person of youth, and they call youths 18 to 30.
I thought it was 14 to 30.
Melanie, isn't it? It's 14? Oh, sorry. Okay, so a person 14 to 30, or a person of color. So do we have anyone that, first of all, wants to nominate someone to attend the assembly, or wants to attend the assembly? Again, you have some homework to do. Melanie, are you willing to go as a representative? I mean,
I think there's more qualified people here.
do you want to elaborate? Do I want to go? If no one else goes, I could go.
How about Don and Becky?
How about?
Peg volunteered us to go, and she didn't go, so I'm...
Well, then Peg's an option.
Is she talking online?
I don't see her.
Probably not.
They're probably driving home.
They're probably driving, yeah.
I mean, we can hold this, but would be nice to kind
And as a representative of color, like us, just Pastor Raphael. What?
of. Can she? Is she a retired pastor?
You're retired, but you could be our delegate, correct?
Yeah.
But you're looking for a late person.
Yeah.
Well, you're really a late person now, you're retired.
No.
If that doesn't, but the way they count it is they count retired pastors as still rostered.
I would have loved to, but because
No.
I'm retired, and
You-
they're looking at late people.
You could be
You
one
could be
of
one of the
our regular
representatives.
representatives.
Regular, yes.
Yes, because our regular representative can be either retired rostered or lay. But the non-roster.
Okay, so will you be one of the, would you be one of our nominees then, Raphael?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay,
I recommend that because
do we have anybody else?
Mr. Raphael has many, many, many years of working,
Yeah,
who I expect are going to be nominated.
all right, anybody else?
And for those wondering, because I heard the question, is she a member?
Yes.
Rafaela and her daughter became members back at the turn of the year. So they brought their request to council. Because it was a transfer, we transferred their membership, and they are members here. So, yep.
I could go if I'm not camping.
Okay, we'll go fishing by ourselves.
Although I could go even if we were camping and I can't go camping. All right, I'll go. So we'll have it, we can try to find a youth or another person to go. Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, so maybe we'll just go the two of us. All right. Okay, we have to vote on that, I believe. don't
Yes, we do.
So, do I have a motion to accept Rafaela and me as the representatives for the Synod Assembly on June 6th through the 8th?
So moved.
Any seconds? Anybody object? Anybody online object? I haven't seen any votes, so. Oh, guys, are you still there? They're probably like delayed. Okay, so moved. The 2024 nominating team, Stan as our outgoing council member, you kind of automatically get put on that committee, so. Oh, you're the chair.
What am I automatically doing?
Chair of the nominating.
The chair of next year's nominating committee. Okay, so we get Stan. Is there anyone else that would, we need, why do we have 6? We need 4 or 5 other people to be on the nominating committee for next year. We will be filling 3 slots. One moment, I'll tell you. We'll be filling at least next year's 2025. So Bill and Melanie and then the 1-year slot for Donna. So those 3 slots will need to be filled, and all of them are eligible to be reelected. So it might be an easy time if you want to be on the nominating committee next year. All right, Dave, love it. Anybody else? Did I see? Stan's the chair automatically. Anybody else? Speak now, or we'll volunteer you at a later point. I like my laugh. I knew if I stared at her morning when she raised me.
That process doesn't start immediately anyway, right?
No, it starts in like November. All right, we'll find 3 more people at a later date. I'm sorry?
We'll do it.
I already wrote you down.
Oh, you already wrote it?
I said if I stared at you long enough, you'd sign up.
So far, because I can't see what's going on behind me.
I got Stan, Dave, Donkey, and Marlea Dutt. Let me see who else is out there. And Weston, do you want to be on the nominating committee?
I need to ask.
Dawn, will you do it? It's gonna be easy, you guys. Scott, how about you, since Scott, I know you do it. How many did?
Are there any absentees who might want to?
Okay, let's see, wait a minute. Voted yes for Synod reps. Hey, we got somebody. Barbara Prenti voted yes, and Harold, good, because we're on like 3 other things after that. No, nobody else. Nobody else. Maybe we can get Ken. I'll ask Ken. We'll ask people after. Okay, so.
I nominate one of the Kellogg's. Make it Duke it out.
All right, Doug, you're on. It's gonna be easy. You just have to talk those people into staying. All right. What, do we have 6? Why do I have 6?
It's probably not.
5's enough. Yeah, okay, that's it. Oh, do we have a motion to accept those Stan, Dave, Marlena, Scott, and Doug as the 2024 nominating committee? Do I have a second? Any objections? Can you be on 2 years in a row? Oh, Ken said, can you be on 2 years in a row? If yes, I will be on again. Was Ken, oh, he'll be on the nominating committee. That's
He was on this year as well.
Yeah, he can be on. Okay. Ken LaPlante, add Ken LaPlante, we'll just approve. All right, let me say things again. It's not that delayed, so that's good. All right, that's that. What's next? Okay, one thing before I bring Frank up to the last real piece of business. Oh, no. You know what, Frank, you come to the last piece of business and I have something I have to do. So Frank is now, that was it, right? We did the nominating team. Frank's gonna go over the 2023 financial review and the budget.
Did we accept last year's treasurer's report?
No, we accepted it through the minutes of last year's.
I think we're going to pass these, pass it.
I have a brief summary of some numbers that we're passing around. Oops, I need one copy of it. Just so you know some of the numbers that we're talking about. Now, I have a long report that I could do, but in deference to the weather, I think I'm just going to give you a very abbreviated what happened. Last year was a very good year financially. So if you look on your sheet at the top, you see where it says contributions, we took in over $12,000 more in contributions than we had in the budget. However, almost all of that was a result of two things. One, all the checks that were taken, or most of the checks that were stolen out of the mailbox, have been repaid by the banks. That's good news. They all came in, or a lot of it came in this year, almost $5,000. Came in this year, which should have been last year. So last year looks low, this year looks high. Just remember that $5,000 won't be there again. And then the second thing is, somebody gave a large gift that was completely unexpected out of their giving pattern, and they didn't include that in this year's pledge. So that accounts for the whole $12,000. So the bottom line is we did about what we said we would do on income. For expenses, we were down about $5,000, and there were some pluses and minuses. And I think the big things really have to do with the weather. It was a mild winter, so we used far less, and also the oil prices were way low, a lot lower than the budget. So between the oil prices and not having a snow plow, that was maybe half of that $5,000. Another big chunk was having to do with youth activities. First of all, there's no confirmation class, so we didn't have to buy the materials for the confirmation class. And secondly, the youth group has shifted its focus. The prior youth groups were big on going to overnight activities, and so we had a budget for that. The current youth group is having more local activities, and so they spent a whole lot less than what we had planned on. So that's the year in summary. Any questions? I mean, if you have any questions about any of the numbers, I can talk about that, but in deference, I won't highlight the stuff. We'll try to get out of here. And then one thing that I highlighted a number of years ago, I think in 2019, if I remember right, you guys passed 2 resolutions having to do with finance. One was if the actual giving is higher than the budgeted giving, 10% of that overage goes to Synod. And so we were over by about about $12,000. So I have a check for $1,250 that's going to Synod. That isn't in the budget anymore. That's just because we exceeded the giving. So that's kind of wraps up the finances. And then one other thing that happened that you probably should know about. When I took over as treasurer, we were worried about how we were going to pay the next bill. Now we have a fair amount of money in the account, well, $250,000 nominally. And so we have to worry about where that money is invested. That's not my forte, so we formed an investment committee. The committee met several times and decided that our assets would be divided into 3 categories: near-term, mid-term, and long-term. Near-term is stuff we need in the next couple of months. Mid-term within a year or so, long-term over that. And we'll take all our investments and put them into one of those buckets so that how we have it invested matches where the money's ultimately going to go. We couldn't really do much because most of our investments now are in term deposits, and they start coming due in February. So the committee's going to meet in February to start looking at our assets and try to take money, which most of our money now is in long-term investment accounts, and we'll move some of that into like a mutual fund, so we get better returns. So that happened. We talked about that at a couple annual meetings. Finally, that's taken place. So looking at the budget for next year, the process kind of starts with what do we do in our stewardship campaign? And we had a relatively successful stewardship campaign. We have, last year we had 30 people who pledged. This year we have 31. Our long-term history is somewhere in the low 30s, so it's about what we expected. We have 7 families who are pledging for the first year, so now we're up to 38. And that leaves us with 10 families that don't pledge, a total of 48 giving units. That's down from last year was 52, and the high a couple of years ago was 58. So our income is going up, but it's coming from the same block of people. That's the way to read that. And as a result of the stewardship campaign, we decided that we would take in $175,300. So if you come to the sheet that I gave you here, you'll see that the budget for this year is $175,200. That's what we expect from pledges. The fundraising category, wait a minute, I'm sorry. 187.50. Why did that?
You got special and.
Oh, yeah, that's right. In addition to the pledge of the special offerings. So that's the difference there. The fundraising are things like people who have Thrivent, they use the Thrivent dollars. That's pretty consistent, $1,700 or so. And then there are a few other categories of things. And interest is the other thing that goes into that. So we have $183 and change, $183,000 and change to spend. There are the categories we have. Most of that was based on what we've actually been spending, with the exception of the staff. What the council decided to do is for the custodian and the music director, we have a 4% salary increase. That was based on readings, what's going on in the community, and also the Synod recommends salary increases of 4%. So that's what we based that on. For the pastor, the mutual ministry and I talked, and the mutual ministry would like to do a review of the pastor. So they asked that we budget for 4%, plus pastor gets a raise of $400 every year. So the 4% plus $400. That's what the budget is. They'll meet in March. We do a review with review of the past year, where the pastor set some goals for next year and make a recommendation to council. And then council will have within that 4% annually to do it for 9 months, so there should be plenty of wiggle room in there to do that. So that's, I think, the major items, other than also stewardship on the, if you look at benevolence, has a fair increase. Some of that is the second continuing resolution. There's any increase in planned giving year to year, is again, 10% goes to the benevolence. And then council also said, we've been trying for years to grow towards 10% giving to mission support. We're at about 5, we were at 5.6. So we said, let's increase by 1/4%. So that's also built in, it's $400 or $500. That's built into the benevolence. So that's continuing resolution because we had an increase in an additional 1/4%. And you look at the other things, there's some ups and downs, but basically what we spent. And you notice the total is about $11,000 more than our giving. The good news is we knew this was going to happen, and last year as part of the call process, we set up a pastor endowment fund, put $110,000 in that fund, and we can take $11,000 a year out to pay for the difference in having a first call pastor and having an experienced pastor. When we add that, we have a slight surplus, $86, on a base of $190,000. That's a wink. So it's a balanced budget because of people's giving and this endowment fund. Any questions? Go ahead, Sue. Or it came from, if you remember, we talked about that last year. It came from closing out a couple of funds. We had a payroll protection fund, which is money the government gave us. Don't tell anybody we did that. The second thing is money from Mount Olivet. Those each were roughly $20,000, and then about $60,000 out of the general fund surplus that we've accumulated. That's for the. Yep. Plus those other two things. Theoretically, for making history, that was created when we sold the parsonage before probably almost anybody here was attending. And so I'm relying on the memory of a few people. At the time, they put money aside so that they could loan money to the pastor if they wanted to buy a house. And so that's just been sitting out there for that purpose. And if the pastor decides to buy a house, making a loan, it turns out, is not a good thing. That you run into all kinds of tax problems, and it's not a good thing. But pastor may want some money to help move a short-term loan, and we would do that. But that's what it's intended for. Yeah. I can explain. A big chunk of that is money that was unspent by the youth that we rolled into the youth fund. So without that, it's about $4,000. So the year to year, without that one thing, it's pretty much the same. If you look at the actual in the report, very few of the committees spend the money that they're given. We put in the money that the people wanted, but very few people actually even spend what we put in. Yeah. Or with one exception, let me get it right, fellowship, is that the way, the group, Melanie? The fellowship guys, as part of the audit, said we should not be using, taking money out of the pot, putting money in the pot, taking it out of the pot. So we put money in for fellowship at, is it 40 or 50 bucks a week? $40 a week. So that was one change in the programs that we added.
We said we shouldn't be taking money out of the honey pot to use it, we need to account for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Deposit that into the general fund and then pay it out of the
We can
general
keep
fund.
track of how much we're actually spending.
Okay, and then we don't need a motion. This has been recommended to the congregation by the council. So,
We would need a second.
what do you think you need a second?
Okay, thank you. So what I was saying to the people, mostly online, people were asking questions about specific line items. Frank answered them. If you still have questions, let me know, because it was, okay. Barbara, can you hear now? You said no audio, but we just fixed the battery. Okay. Oh, so anyways, we might as well just get a second for the budget, 2024 budget. Is there any more discussion of the 2024 budget? Is anyone opposed to the 2024 budget as Frank presented it? Okay, so move. We have a budget. Woohoo! Oh, Barbara said, do we use short-term CDs? All right, I'll put yes. Thank you. So the next thing that we had was we finally, after, I don't know, like 92 years, we had a financial audit review. I want to thank Judy and her team. They came up with a very robust list of recommendations for us to become closer to be in more control, I should say. We have the recommendations. Council is working on the responses, and we should have those by the end of March. And but we did set up a double counting, which will start next week, because I'm not staying here after today's meeting, and then we'll report on that at a later date. Okay. The thing I ran out for, Stan, can you come up, please, for a second?
That's you, Stan.
That's you, Stan.
We didn't have council elections.
We haven't had the first council meeting. Yeah, we did. We had council meeting.
That was when first husband
Um,
told me no, we've been
It's Maureen, Stephanie, Martha, Maureen, and Donna. Stan is leaving council. He's not leaving us. He's leaving council after 6 years on the council, and we have just a little something to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
You can open it.
I'm sure this is going to take a while to get into right now.
No, it's pretty easy.
Oh.
It might explode. No.
Mugs are wonderful. Yeah. There you go.
Never have too many bugs.
No.
Well, it's fancy.
And commentary is wonderful. Without music, life would be
Flat.
And it's going to talk so that if I have it in a place that I'm going to spill it.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Ian. Okay, we're not going to go over the reports because it's getting pretty nasty out there. So feel free to read them, and if you have any questions on anybody's team reports, we did a lot of stuff this year. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff next year. Read through the report. You can ask the person that wrote it any questions. And if you wanted to get involved, that's the person you should talk to. Do we have any other business? Okay. I guess that's it then. Do we have a motion to adjourn? And then we'll do our sending song, unless you guys want to not sing and you just want to get out of here. Okay? Anybody opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Look at that, half an hour. I think that's a record.
Well, the snow will do that.
The snow will do that. Yes, could the new council just meet here for like 5 minutes, not even, before you leave? Thanks. Are we gonna sing or no? All right, sing to yourself. Thank you.
Well, let's close with the Lord's Prayer.
There you go, yeah.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Be safe, everybody.
And thanks, Mara. Should I turn this off?